the 100+ people we have joining us today. My name is Kate Shamzad, and I'm the Senior Program Officer with the New Jersey Healthcare Quality Institute. The Quality Institute is a multi-stakeholder membership organization that convenes healthcare leaders in New Jersey around the common goal of improving the safety, quality, and affordability of healthcare for everyone. A public health crisis such as the one we're now facing with COVID-19 tests our strengths, and it really highlights our weaknesses. At the Quality Institute, we are going to continue to have important conversations about today's toughest healthcare issues remotely through webinars, quality briefings, and other valuable resources such as this presentation. We will get through this together by communicating best practices and learning from each other. Before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. Please know that today's webinar is being recorded and a copy will be posted on our website later today. All phone lines have been muted for the duration of the program to limit background noise. You may ask questions throughout the presentation and at the end by typing into the chat box. The topic of today's presentation is anxiety versus resiliency, how to manage one while building the other during the COVID-19 crisis. By the end of this webinar, you will learn stress signs and how stress and anxiety affect the mind and body, indicators of anxiety and stress through warning signs, coping techniques for yourself and your colleagues, and you'll get a chance to go through a skills practice, which are easy and quick techniques for group and one-on-one conversations. We'll also be providing resources, both online and other support tools. Please be advised, though you will be learning significantly, it's not the intent of this program or its speakers to provide clinical or legal advice. With that, I'm excited to present today's speaker. Our speaker for today's program is Tracy Post, LCSW, CST, CCTP, and the founder and CEO of the TLP Consulting Group. Her firm provides clinical psychotherapeutic services, training, professional development, and consultation services for individuals as well as public and private organizations. Focus areas include trauma interventions for individuals and organizations, trauma-informed practice, and secondary traumatic stress and the impact of trauma on helping professionals. Without further ado, I'd love to turn over the program to Tracy, who'll take us through her presentation.
Thanks, Kate. I appreciate being here. As Kate said, I'm Tracy Post, and I'm the founder of the Princeton Center for Mind-Body Healing, and I'm really grateful to be here with you all today to speak about increasing our resiliency and managing anxiety during this crisis of COVID-19. Probably didn't need to put as one of my goals that we would be learning about stress signs, as I imagine we're all experiencing them in a multitude of ways right now. And one of those ways we're experiencing it, the virus almost universally, is with this greater sense of anxiety and stress across the board. But none is more heightened than in our healthcare workers, our first responders, and everyone who continues to serve the communities and our public during this time. Next slide, please, Tyler. When life is uncertain, it's really pretty natural to get caught up in thinking about the what-if scenarios. The problem is that focusing too much attention on what-ifs can feed anxiety, burn up our mental energy, and derail our ability to wisely plan and cope and make healthy decisions. Clear thinking and compassion go offline when we're anxious. And now more than ever, one of us needs to take care of ourselves, our families, our friends, our staffs, as we're all pulled and stretched beyond how we normally might be during this time. Basically, we need to put our own oxygen mask on first so we can be those calm, compassionate, wise leaders. Next slide. We are experiencing trauma and grief in this moment, unlike probably any other in history. And we likely have no idea how it's impacting us. This creates a twofold dilemma for leaders. How do we walk with staff to manage their symptoms and to manage a situation where we have no true idea where it's going? At the same time, manage our own stress and anxiety. I think the answers are often simple, but not so easy. Next. We can help ourselves and our staff build resiliency and decrease anxiety by creating a sense of safety, by building trust in our actions, by working in collaboration, by offering choices and partnering with staff to empower them to enact best practices for individual and community health and wellness. It's no surprise that these elements are the foundation of trauma-informed agencies and are the most important gifts we can give each other every day, especially in the days to come. Next, please. So let's briefly examine the effects of stress and anxiety. This is one of the first audience participation parts of the program, and if we were sitting in a room together, I would ask that you shout out as many symptoms that you know and have experienced. Alas, I will have to play your parts as well. And what's important to know about all of these symptoms is that each person's stress and anxiety blueprint is unique to them, that on different days we may manifest different sets of symptoms, and that in and of themselves, many of these symptoms are not bad or wrong, even though they may not feel good. They are, in fact, our body's way of creating safety internally and externally in a time where we don't know what safety might be like. What's even more important to know is that almost all of these symptoms can be reduced and sometimes even eradicated by that simple but not always easy awareness practice. The effects of stress on our body are well studied. We know an anxious brain is much less able to make good decisions. We know that stress impacts our ability to stay healthy, to fight infection, to rally a good immune response. So the more we can help ourselves, each other, our staff, to come back to calm, be grounded, the healthier and safer we all will be. And building resiliency is the vaccination for these anxiety and stress responses. Next, please. So what are the clues you want to be aware of for yourself, your family, your staff, your colleagues? Well, some are listed here. Physical, certainly headaches, stomach aches, fatigue, exhaustion, sleep disturbances, tense shoulders, crick in the neck. Mine is my fingers. I tend to pick my cuticles. You all probably know your first canary in the coal mine sign. And if you don't yet, we'll have a chance to practice in just a few moments. For some folks, the emotional cues are first. Huge reactions to small frustrations, increased anger, sometimes numbness. I don't feel anything or everything's fine. We're going to be fine. And we are going to be fine. But not acknowledging what we might be feeling internally doesn't always lead to the best coping. Sometimes our signs are personal or relational, separation, isolation, not reaching out, reaching in, gaming, Netflix, Instagram, Facebook, all of these ways that can be used as healthy connection, but if they're used too much or too often can also lead to negative consequences. And in the workplace, a whole host of issues can also be indicators of stress. It's important, again, to think through what yours are, to think through how we can do what we've done from time immemorial to connect and heal, which is to gather together, to be in community, to witness, to provide comfort in the form of a hug or a touch of the shoulder, or just a nod and looking in someone's eyes. These things we may not be able to do in the way we've always done them. So we must figure out new ways of creating that connection by physically distancing without emotionally and socially distancing. Next slide, please. So this next 2 or 3 slides are one potential technique you could use for yourselves or your staffs to think through your own stress profile. Next, please, Tyler. Thinking about what are your warning signs, what are the factors that cause you stress, what are your unhealthy and healthy stress management techniques, and writing them down and kind of thinking them through is a really powerful tool to being able to choose, and choice during times of crisis is crucial to engage in the healthier techniques. Next, please. If you were doing this as a staff meeting activity or family Zoom meeting activity, one thing you could do is ask each person to share their positive techniques and then add to their own list from what they've heard from others. Next, please. Good trauma research tells us that we remember trauma more in our emotions and feelings and in our body than in words. And if you think about your own personal anxiety cues, the front runners usually are those body-based symptoms: racing heart, sweaty palms, upset stomach, headaches, as we mentioned. So now, if you're willing, let's do a little experiment so you can start to get a deeper sense of connection with your beginning canary in the coal mine symptoms. Now, if you'd like to play, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you an overview of the process. And then if you want to play at home, I'll lead you through each of the phases. And if you don't want to play, you can just stare at me or play words with friends. Okay. In a minute, I'm going to ask you to check your stress level on a scale of 0 to 10. Then I'm going to take you through a quick tour, checking in with your body. And I'm going to ask you to bring up a situation in your head that causes you stress. Now, don't go for the biggies right now, not the overall virus. Or if you're going to sell your house or stay with your partner, something small, something like that irritating email that you'll have to answer after this presentation. Or, I can't believe my partner left the toothpaste cap off again. Or if my dog doesn't stop barking, I'm gonna, one of those kind of things. All right? You're going to bring that up in your mind. I'm going to ask you to check in again with your stress level. And then I'm going to lead you through 3 somatic or body-based stress reduction techniques, checking in after each one for you to notice which, if any, help produce your symptoms of stress and anxiety, which may escalate them. So, if you'd like to play, the best thing first to do is to take off your glasses if you're wearing any, and get your body in a really comfortable position with your head, neck, and spine aligned. If you'd like, you could close your eyes or allow your gaze to light on something in the room that brings your eyes peace or pleasure. And then if you would, just go ahead and check in on that scale of anxiety, 0 being no anxiety or distress at all, and 10 being the most you've ever felt. Noting where you are right now in this moment. And then just bring your awareness to your breath, to the direct experience of your breath without having to change it or change yourself. Just allow yourself the time and space to follow 2 complete cycles of breath, all the way through the in-breath in its entirety, all the way through the out-breath in its entirety. And as you're doing so, check in with your head. Notice what you're feeling inside your head. Heavy, tight, congested, or open. Move your awareness into your neck and shoulders, just noticing any tightness there. Moving down into your chest, upper chest, mid-chest, lower chest. Bringing your awareness around to your back, where your neck meets your head. Moving all down your spine, all the way down to your sacrum. Just checking in and noticing any tightness or tension, any looseness. Bringing your awareness back around again to your heart. Checking in with your heart. Then your belly, your pelvis, your hips, your knees, lower legs, feet, all the way to the tips of your toes. Just doing this gentle, curious inventory of your inside. Taking again another breath. Exhaling completely. And then checking in again with that stress level. 0 being no anxiety and stress, 10 being the most you've ever felt. Where are you now? Okay, now you get to bring up that annoying, frustrating incident with which you want to play with. Bring that incident up in your mind as if you were playing it out, that scene in a movie. Notice what you're seeing when you think about that frustrating situation. Notice what you hear. Notice if you smell anything. Notice what you see in front of you. Notice what your body's doing. Are you walking? Are you sitting? Are you standing? And now play the scene out, your movie. And as you're playing out the scene, notice if anything shifts in your body. Does your stomach tighten a little? Does your throat get tight? Does your breathing change? Just noticing your first sign. And then if you're ready, you can walk with me through the first technique, which is a neurobiological reset breath. I'm going to count you through 3 of these breaths, and then I'm going to leave space for you to do 2 or 3 on your own. So if you would like to do this, exhale completely. And then we're going to inhale the count of 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now in your own time and your own pace, just go ahead and do about 2 or 3 more breaths, just allowing your exhale to be the tiniest or longest bit longer than your inhale. And when you're ready, check in again with that stress level, 0 to 10, noticing what, if any, impact this breathing had on your level. And again, bring up that frustrating situation. See it in your mind's eye. Play the movie out for a few more seconds. Notice if your body sensations shift at all. And then go ahead and open your eyes, and I'm going to talk you through 2 other neurobiological holds, containment holds, that will also potentially break the stress response. So the first one is you need to take one hand, doesn't matter if it's your left or your right, and you're going to put it on your forehead. And the other hand you're going to put on the back of your neck as if you were cradling an infant, and it should feel very calming. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. If it does feel good, what I want you to do is visualize sending 3 breaths to your forehead. You can do this by saying breath, 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 or visualizing a wave or a color. But 3 breaths now, sending breath to the hand on the forehead. Exhaling. Breath, breath, breath. Exhale. Breath, breath, breath. Exhale. One more at your own pace. And you can put your hands down if you haven't already. This part is great because we're all by ourselves and no one's seeing us, right? Except for me. The next neurovascular hold I'm going to teach you is similar to that, another containment hold. This is more like a hug. This matters which hand. You're going to take your right hand, put it under your left armpit, your left hand on top of your right arm. And then you're going to either rock side to side while you're breathing in and out. or tap one hand after the other, back and forth, tap, 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 while you're breathing. One breath, two breaths. Then when that's complete for you, you can let your hands go down again. Checking in with that stress level once more. Last time I'm going to ask you to bring up that annoying situation in your mind, playing it like a movie through. Maybe it won't even bring up as much frustration this time, who knows. But just see, just notice, playing it through your mind for the next 10 seconds or so. Noticing if your body shifts in any way. And then going ahead and opening your eyes. The last technique we'll practice today is the butterfly tap. What you're going to do is take your hands and form a butterfly with them. Place your palms over that part of your upper chest, and you go like that and make that noise. Put your fingers up over your collarbone, and then you're going to tap your fingers back and forth like the wing of a butterfly. Just allowing your body to take in the sensation of your fingers. Noting what you feel like with your hands. And when that's complete for you, you can again allow your hands to go down to your lap or your laptop. Check in again one last time with that stress level. Thanks for playing with me. Okay, Tyler, if we could go to the slide after. So what you'll see when you have this with you, the PowerPoint will talk you through all these different techniques. There's a reset breath. Next one, the containment hold that we practice like this. The following one, the hug one. And lastly, the butterfly tap. All of those are available to you. If you need more information, please feel free to reach out. So I developed, the next piece is just a way to think about, I've also included a host of other self-care technique images, lists generated from the Harvard Center for Mind, Body, and just a number of self-care techniques that folks in my workshops through the years have put together. So these are available to you to use in any way that you'd like. And after that, I believe there's a slide that says peace. If we can get to that one. So how do we create this culture of resiliency for our staff? Well, again, I think it's somewhat simple, but not always the most easy. So what I came up with was a mnemonic to help us in these crazy times maybe remember some of the elements of this, and that's peace. So the first element of peace, next slide please, is provide. Provide education and information. Frequent, ongoing, multimodality information is critical for all of us as human beings to feel safer. We know what's going to happen, or we know what the next steps are, then we feel a little more in control. Even if you don't know what's going to happen, saying we will let you know as soon as we know. We don't know what's coming, but we will keep you in the loop, provides a sense of trust and safety. Providing information, the first step of peace. Second step, educate. It's critical to educate ourselves and our staff on the signs and symptoms of stress and anxiety and even trauma. Knowing that what we're experiencing is normal, that these are typical stress responses. They are how our human bodies manage trauma and anxiety in terrible times. makes us feel a little more connected to everyone and maybe a little more relaxed about the fact that I'm having these symptoms. Educating folks about our resiliency building blocks, the techniques that we just practiced, sharing lots of self-care techniques in individual and group settings will really go far to help our staff feel more comfortable and safe. Next, the A stands for acknowledge and validate. I tell myself and my clients and my family and friends that our feelings are like toddlers. They arise during our limbic brain development, which is when we were toddlers. And any of y'all who know toddlers know that their emotions are huge, right? So what do we do when we're good enough parents? We just acknowledge them. Oh, you're mad. Oh, you're sad. Well, we all need that, especially when our limbic brain is firing in anxiety. So acknowledge and validate is based on the work of Tara Brach and her technique called attend and befriend. And these are two simple ways that you can just acknowledge folks' feelings without acknowledging the behaviors or the thoughts that come along with it. So you have to believe your feelings, but you don't have to believe everything your mind tells you. I noticed, Greg, that you're looking worried. Am I getting it right? It's really normal to feel worried during times like this. In fact, all feelings are normal. Is there anything that I can offer to help you in this moment? Or in a group setting? Let's start our meeting today with first sharing one word that describes how we're feeling. You don't have to, it's totally volunteer, but if you'd like, it would be really lovely. And once everyone has a chance to play or pass, thank you all so much for taking this time to be vulnerable and share your feelings. Right now, all feelings are normal and expected during this uncertain time. And I wonder what it would be like. Simply sit with that feeling, to see if you could tolerate it just for a moment, and just let it float away like a leaf off a tree. Acknowledge and validate. Step 4, C, is to create space and conditions. You see how I blanked out there and just waited for the next slide. C is creating space and conditions for ourselves and our staffs to integrate this into our daily work. So building this culture of care that not only allows people to do it, but systematizes self-care, stress reduction, anxiety reduction, acknowledging and validating in the workflow, leading with self-care practice when you sit one-on-one with someone in your staff meetings, in your webinars or your websites that are addressing COVID-19 or just how we can be together in community. It's great to say practice self-care, but in this crazy time, we may not unless our leaders are, I hate to use this word, but I will, institutionalizing it in the way that we work. And lastly, E, example. Setting the example, modeling, creating a parallel process, doing the practice yourself will translate and transfer to the people around you in ways that are unimaginable. Much as anxiety is contagious and we can catch it sitting in a room with anxious people, so too is calm and self-care. By modeling your self-care alone with your team at all times, you are doing more than you could ever imagine to build resiliency, both for yourself and our communities. Next slide, please. One of my favorite quotes by Audre Lorde is this: self-care is not about self-indulgence. It is about self-preservation. And in this day, in this time, when we are all struggling to preserve the life that we have and to be thoughtful and open to how life will become, self-care is critical. So I think I'm going to stop there. There's a number of other slides and resources, but I know that probably best to move to the question and answer portion of the program.
Thank you so much, Tracy, for both your knowledge and the practice we all just were able to get in. I know myself, I'm feeling a little bit calmer already. We have a few questions to start, and this will also give everyone who is participating a chance to type in questions into the question, answer, or chat box now. And just get started.
Mhm.
So how can providers and other staff on the front lines right now that have limited time to create an environment in their workplace employ some of your resiliency strategies?
Well, Kate, I think that that's a really excellent question, and I think it requires a little bit of just planning, kind of going back to that PEACE acronym, if that's the right word, to provide information to think about how can I incorporate these on a daily basis. Can I just start every meeting with my staff by saying, this is crazy times. Let's see if we can just breathe for a moment and get ourselves grounded so we can do our best thinking. Maybe it is posting a webinar or some of the links that you see here and offering them to staff and saying, hey, we're going to start 5 minutes later our staff meeting so you all can spend 5 minutes of self-care. I think that in institutionalizing it into the workflow is the really critical piece, and every organization is going to be able to do that differently and uniquely. Hope that helps.
Thanks. Yes. For those of us who aren't going into hospitals or healthcare organizations these days and find ourselves at home, what tools can people use to combat social isolation, given our directive to socially distance at this point in time?
That's an awesome question. Yeah. Well, I think that in some ways we're super, super lucky that this is happening in the era of so many resources available online. So the first slide of the resources listed 4 or 5 apps that provide different self-help techniques, from Insight Timer to Headspace to 10% Happier to Calm, to making a playlist of your favorite songs that make you happy and listening to it for a minute or two before you sit down and do your work, taking breaks through the course of your day to breathe or look out the window, spring, see what's budding. Building in these techniques in tiny little pieces, little islands throughout your day is almost more important than taking an hour and a half run at the end. Not that I'm against hour and a half run. That's for Linda Swimmer. But the little bits of bringing your body back to calm throughout the day are critical. If you don't have that, reading your favorite book, catching a pet if they're around, anything that you sensorily based know creates calm, and building that into your daily life is critical. I also hear people are doing a lot of Zoom meetings and family hours and games. I have to say I played Apples to Apples, but maybe the more interesting version with a group of friends online on Saturday night, and that was super fun. So
great. Those are good ideas, and I know I have tried a number of them, and it's as we were acknowledging in the beginning of the call, it's nice to see some sun outside for those days that we're home by ourselves.
So nice.
I know we've heard from many of our Quality Institute members about ways they are trying to continue to provide mental health services during this time of social isolation, whether it's telehealth from our mental health providers or the medicinal marijuana dispensaries, figuring out how they can still provide necessary products, in a safe and reasonable way. But I'm wondering, from your perspective, at what point should people seek additional help if they're feeling anxious, and where do they go for that help? I know the state is working on a mental health, or the state with the Mental Health Association is working on a hotline for people to feel overwhelmed. But what other resources might you offer?
Those are great questions too. Well, I think any time that you feel overwhelmed, when the negative symptoms or coping mechanisms outweigh your ability to engage in anything that gives you joy or pleasure, when you just need someone to talk to and you might not have it, that's the time to reach out. And I think that right now we're very lucky that most of our insurance companies and folks who manage mental health nationally and statewide are being super thoughtful about allowing telehealth, telephone calls. There are some text-based therapy services that all of those resources are available. I would imagine many folks have an EAP that they could check in with, and often they offer free resources or ways to connect. I know some mental health agencies, including mine, are offering 10, 15, 20-minute free self-help check-ins. There's a host of resources, and some of those are listed in the articles that I put on the 2 pages of resources as well.
Thank you so much. I know Tyler's clicking through all those resources, and they're very helpful to get to reference later. Tyler, I'm going to turn it over to you for any other additional questions that have come in via the chat.
Great. Thanks, Kate. So far, all I've really seen from folks is everybody wants your slides. Everybody wants recording, which is great. So just to answer everybody, we will have a copy of the recording on our website. I'm going to share some information about how to contact us and our website in just a moment. But for now, if folks have questions, other questions for Tracy, please type them into the chat box or type them into your Q&A section there while we pull up these other slides.
I didn't share this yet or earlier, and I meant to. There are a number of online resources for guided visualization. Some I have recorded on my website, but many, Bell Ruth Napperstack has a website called Health Journeys that has lots and lots of guided visualizations and meditations available that folks can download and listen to. All of the apps that I mentioned, Sleep, right, Calm, and Headspace, and 10% have sleep stories if people are having trouble with sleep. Those are really, really helpful as well. And I think thinking through individually, where do I have joy? Where do I find joy in my life? Like for me, one of the things I loved to do as a kid was swing on the swing. And I haven't thought about swinging on the swings for years, but I was thinking, like, how can I go out and be physically distant, but still do something that brings me joy? And so I walked over to the playground, which is of course empty now, and swung on the swings for about 10 minutes, and it just really calmed my body down. So I'm not saying everybody should go out and swing on the swings or not, but I'm saying thinking about the things you did as a kid that might have given you peace or joy can be really helpful. There's also great coloring books, adult coloring books, or kid coloring books is another excellent technique. Watching movies, I'm just laughing because my sister had told me about a movie, Peanut Butter Falcon, which is a really hysterical movie. I have no interest in that movie, but it was really funny, so that helps as well. And if we don't have any other questions you'd like, you guys could let me know. We could certainly.
We do actually have a couple of questions, Tracy. So I know folks are still asking. So I have up on the screen right now our website, www.njhcqi.org. That's where everybody can find a copy of the recording later today. Just give me a couple of hours to edit and get that up. And then also at the top of the screen, we have a short link for all of the different resources that we've put together for folks that are grappling with COVID-19. So that includes a copy of our recording from last week, which was how to keep your medical practice clean and your staff safe. It includes a brand new resource that we just added about patient access to telehealth. We'll include a copy of this recording, and we're creating new resources every week for our members and for the public on COVID-19 and great valuable things that you can use. So now to get to the other questions, we do have some great questions that came in. One was a comment, which I thought was just nice. Somebody would like you to do a daily de-stressor instead of the presidential daily briefing, which would be great.
I would love that. Actually, that's funny you say that, because I have been recording daily meditations, and my nephew's been developing music, and he's put it behind it. So they'll be up on our website as well.
Oh, great. Wonderful.
So if you like my voice, great. And if you don't, there's all those other apps. So thank you.
Great. And great question. What are some ways that you could help family members that are having a hard time? So rather than yourself, other folks around you that are maybe struggling.
Yeah, that's a fabulous question. I think similarly, offering first that I'm having a hard time. As a therapist, we're not supposed to disclose, but I feel, especially right now, there's such we're so in our U.S. culture focused on being strong and being okay that it's really hard for people to say, I'm not doing so well. So for me to say that to my friends or my family members, I'm having a really hard time today. Like, I didn't sleep last night getting ready for this webinar, and I had to do my breathing, and I listened to 5 meditations, and then it's like, right? Like, we join with each other, and I think we do the same for our families and friends, and we can say, I have this crazy dream, or, yeah, I'm stress eating like you won't believe. What's going on for you? Then we're acknowledging that that's the case, and we're universalizing it, and we're making it, hey, here's what's happening for me. I think that's one. And this is what I do. I've been listening to this meditation, or hey, how about if we go for a social distance walk together? Or, God, I noticed that my stress sign is my fingers. I just pick on them first. What do you notice for yours? Maybe we can be a team together, and when we see the other person doing their stress sign, we can say, hey, maybe it's time for a break, right? Like, the more we connect in those ways when we can, whether it's on video because we're not in the same space, or walking into the room where everybody else is doing their work and just asking if you want a break. I think we do what we've done for time immemorial to heal, which is to connect and be present with each other and just witness. We devalue witnessing, but it is the most important gift that we have to give each other, to sit and listen and just hear.
That's great advice. And I think to your point about doing video calls with friends and family, I've done a few of them, and a lot of times it's commiserating. It's, talking about, oh, I'm going through this and this sucks, and that helps. Couple of other great questions. Kind of piggybacking off of what we were just talking about how to talk to others and how to help your family and friends. Something that we've been thinking about at the Quality Institute and can potentially address later on, but how do you talk to young children about what's happening now and potentially, allay their fears about social distancing, and maybe if they're worried about what's happening around us?
Yeah, I think it's very similar to how we would talk to young children about any huge crisis, whether that's natural disaster or a family death. We want to have the information meet their developmental stage and age, right? We want to start with the littlest bits of information, but the most important part. And I think that's what we were talking about before in the PEACE acronym, which is modeling that I'm okay. So as the adult, I need to be the safe container. That means I need to have done my own work, because how I am with that person is going to speak volumes more than the words that come out of my mouth, right? If I'm freaked out, like, everything's going to be fine, what's the message there, right? So doing my own work to be calm, giving the information in small sound bites, asking what they know about the situation, what they've heard, and then answering those questions and doing it on a regular basis. It's not a one-time, one-shot deal, right? Because information is totally moving at such a fast pace, things change daily. And then playing those techniques with them. Hey, this helps mommy, this helps Aunt Carla. Let's try it together. How about if we just breathe for 10 minutes? What do you think about that? Right?
That's great. Great advice. Another great question. In addition to all of the resources that you've offered, someone wants to know if you've heard of or seen any calming podcasts that you've listened to.
I know there are. But I can't name any off the top of my head, although I know there are quite a few. So I'll ask around to my group and I'll post those or send them on to you guys as well.
Yeah,
And
we'd
if
be
anybody
happy
out
to.
there has them,
We'd be
let us
happy to
know.
share any resources after the fact. And so we will post the recording. A number of folks want to know if they can also have a copy of your slides. So if you're comfortable with that, we'll share a copy of your slides as well.
Sure. And I'm more than happy to sometimes some of the activities that I put on the slides don't give you the whole story. So I'm more than happy to share that offline with whomever.
Okay, great. One of our attendees had a suggestion for Tara Brock has a great podcast.
Yeah.
Audience participation is great. So if folks have other questions, please chat them in now. While we're waiting to see if any folks have other questions. So we do have all of our information up on the screen now, but I also wanted to share, so I said we're offering lots of different resources each week. That includes webinars, quality briefings, one-pagers. We'll be doing a lot on all of our social media channels. For next week, we have a webinar on Thursday, April 9th. A very important topic right now that of course came up during this presentation as well. Best practices for effective physical and mental health telehealth visits. So for providers who are new to working with telehealth for their patients, this will be a great opportunity to hear from two of our industry leaders on how to not only use telehealth, but also how to really get the most out of telehealth for your patients. So we're going to hear from one of our board members at the Quality Institute, Dr. Kemi Ali. She's the CEO of Henry J. Austin Health Center in Trenton, and Tara Chalikani from Preferred Behavioral Health Group. So two wonderful ladies that are going to help us sort of sort through how to have the best telehealth opportunities that we can. So a question actually from Linda. Any suggestions for engaging older people or senior population who are socially distancing and maybe anxious?
A great question again, thanks. I think that especially for seniors who are isolated or for anyone, it's really, really critical that we who aren't so isolated think about ways that we can connect with them. So my neighborhood, half is really young families with kids and half are older folks who are living by themselves. So we wrote a little, not an email, we printed out a flyer and just said, hey, it's Tracy, we're around the corner with the noisy dogs. Here's our phone number. Here's our email. If anybody needs groceries brought over or help taking out their trash or anything comes up, please reach out. And we put that in everybody's mailboxes. I heard on a podcast the other day someone who's sitting with his family and called the local assisted livings and got a list of the names of the residents or how many residents, and he and his kids were writing cards to all of the residents in those centers, and they're sending them over. I think that's really nice with their contacts, so that if they want to do like a pen pal thing, they can build that connection. My mother-in-law is in an assisted living up in North Jersey, and the staff there are setting up Skype and FaceTime calls for the residents with family members and friends. So another way that folks are connecting.
That's great. And I'll also plug our Conversation of Your Life program that deals with advanced care planning in the community. We're going to be coming out with a one-pager resource soon that talks about our county task forces and how they can help their community members talk about advanced care planning at home with their families. We're all home right now, most of us with our families or using technology to connect with our families. So it's the perfect opportunity to talk about your wishes, and there's lots of great online resources for how to go about doing that and document your wishes. And I think we're going to have another webinar on that as well. So that's a great way to connect with family and have something really important and meaningful to talk about.
That's fabulous. Yeah, great.
Okay, so I'm still getting a lot of questions about the slides and the recording. So I'm gonna on the slide right now, the events link is where folks can register for future webinars and see all of our events, njhcqi.org/events. And then on the last slide here, COVID-19 resources, that link at the top is where you can find all of our resources. And later today, we will make sure to have a copy of the slides and the recording of the presentation available there as well, so folks can check back. Two other questions that came in while we were chatting. What if your coworker has a panic attack while on the job? How can you help them while social distancing? So if somebody has, and I think Kate had mentioned earlier, there is a state hotline that we will share that's being staffed by the Mental Health Association. So there are definitely resources out there, but if you had any others to share.
That's great. Yeah, I think two things come to mind. If you know already, or in our staff meetings, another thing that to talk about would be, what are your signs of stress and what are the things that you're worried about, so that we can, again, pregame it or plan, right? What would you like me to do to help you, or how can I, if I'm sitting across the room, be of support and service to you? If we don't have that opportunity, then it's really important with a panic attack to help someone, allow them the opportunity to get back in their body. So there's a very simple technique that's called the five senses activity that I use with people with panic attacks. And so the first thing you want them to do, hopefully, is to just let them know you're here. I'm here with you, and to remind them that you've gotten through this before. You've always gotten through a panic attack. You will again. To try and, if possible, maintain eye contact or ask, can we look at each other? Because when someone is looking at someone's face and your face is calm, then that's going to provide some relief, right? And then you can talk them through that five senses activity, which is, if you can right now, look around the room and tell me 5 things you see. Look around the room, see those 5 things. Now, tell me 4 things you hear. I hear the computer, I hear someone walking outside. Tell me 3 things you smell. Tell me 2 things you feel. I feel the ground under my feet, feel my back against the couch, right? Tell me 1 thing you taste. And then you go through it again. Bringing awareness to our body sensations, what's happening in our body, and then offering that reset breath. Let's see if we can breathe together. Allows the mind to get out of that loop, often of the recurring thoughts that start the panic attack. And if we can bring the focus to the body and slow down the breath, it can slow down that response, that reaction. Those are 2 things that can be very helpful.
That is great advice. So I'm not seeing any other questions coming in right now. So I'll just reiterate to folks that we are going to share a copy of the slides, a copy of the recording, to make sure that you have all the resources that were mentioned today. You can visit our website and the short link at the top of your screen right now, QI COVID-19 resources, to check back for all of the resources that we've put together. And of course, please join us next week for what I think is going to be a really important presentation on telehealth and making sure that as we are trying to stay out of the hospital, trying to stay out of risk and medical facilities, that we're still seeking both the physical and the mental health care that we need, and not putting it off because we're afraid of coming into contact with other folks, but really utilizing technology and all of these resources that are available to us now to make sure that we're all staying healthy and well, both physically and mentally during this challenging time.
Yeah.
So with that, I am going to thank you, Tracy, for a wonderful presentation. I know I've gotten a lot of comments in on the chat box about how wonderful it was, and everybody wants your slides, which is great. Thank you to Kate from our staff for moderating, and thank you to everybody for joining. We really appreciate it and hope that these resources are really meaningful and valuable to our members and to the folks that are new to the Quality Institute and joining us for the first time.
And I want to thank you all for the work you do, and for everyone out there for taking the time to be so thoughtful. This is hard. This is a hard time we're all going through, and we will get through it, as you said at the beginning, together. So thank you for everything you do, for your staff, and for our community. I'm very grateful.
Great. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully folks can get out and enjoy a little bit of the sunshine that Kate was.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.